Hey everyone, give me just 1 second. Just getting situated here. I'm not sure if Mara's jumping on either. So, hello. I'll get
Hey
on camera in
there.
just a second.
Off and running. Are you there, Mitch? All right. Where's your phone? Send me a picture of it. I'll see you someday. Hey, how's your accountability going?
I'm here. Good, pretty much the same as yesterday, just working on getting another open house planned. And
Perfect.
that's about it for right this second.
Over your face. Excellent. Zinnia, how about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I just called a bunch of people, and I do have another CMA on a different house today, but I haven't got it done yet.
Okay,
So I'll
great.
be
How'd
sending
your
you-
appointment go that you had yesterday or the day before?
It went really good. Only thing was I was there 3 hours. It was
Oh,
like,
well, lots of relationship building.
yes, it was. So, but he wants to list, but he's in no hurry.
Excellent. Okay. Well, hopefully you can drive some motivation in there and get that done. Chambers, how are you?
Good. I had a very kind of hectic couple of weeks, so I haven't been doing too much. Hoping to get back up and started this
Yeah.
upcoming week.
Awesome. Great. Well, welcome today. Emily Nordquist.
Um, we had our listing appointment yesterday, so we're just waiting to hear back on the commission that we offered. And then I have a listing appointment Saturday, and I have a specific question about that. I don't know if this is the place to ask, just if everybody else wants to hear it, or I can email or call you later.
Sure. Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm sure it'll be good learning for everyone.
Okay. So I pulled the information from the title company that showed who the owner is and the plat map and all that. And it's under contract, so there's still a balance owing. So how do you handle that in the listing? Do you have to specify that in the listing, or just have that conversation when I meet her on Saturday that I know that there's a balance owing? Because it
On
was an owner.
the land?
Yes, so they are paying the owner. So according to the
Okay.
county, they don't own it. There's still a contract out.
Okay. So yeah, they'll just have to pay it off at closing. So
Okay.
the title company will take care of that as part of like once you're in contract.
Okay, and I don't have to put that in the listing anywhere that there's money owed on it?
Nope, it's in the listing already built in the listing contract that anything that they owe on the property or that's attached to the property will have to be satisfied when they close.
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you. Oh, and then I have a open house in the Dalles on Saturday. Someone sent one of those group emails, and so I was
Great.
like, I can do it. So that'll be Saturday evening.
Perfect. Awesome. Alexander, what about you?
Went good. Had that promotional barbecue yesterday and got a bunch of good leads, so that was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job. Emily
Thank you.
Steele?
So yesterday I got signed up for PMAR, like I said, and so I actually have a lead on a couple that I know that's looking to buy within the next several months. So I'm just gonna follow up with them again this afternoon and kind of see where they're at, but still in the very beginning baby steps of getting everything set up right now, but I'm just pushing to get myself out there and have those conversations every day.
Good. Joe, what about you?
I'm still sort of wading through all the tech stuff. I got set up with my MLS today.
Good.
And you know, all the minutia there, trying to figure out how to connect my DocuSign to Command. But anyways, I went to that card game last night, and there was another person I knew there. There was two people there who, you know, basically told me they would refer me.
Awesome.
And that's not something I was asking for, you know. So that was really great.
Yeah, it's good to have a cheerleader.
One of them has family moving here from Central California somewhere soon.
Perfect.
So
awesome.
He's passing that on. I'm sending an email. I have another client who is listing her house. I just don't know the timing. So I'm trying to like just stay on her radar. She also told me that she would definitely give me a listing presentation appointment. But I mean, I don't know what that really means. So I'm just trying to stay in touch with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had fun too. Also, I had fun going
no
out last night. So, which is kind of why I wanted to get into this real estate.
And it was going towards charity, right? So that's good as well.
Yeah. So the winner picks the charity, but I lost $6. So
darn it. Well, that's not too bad. Welcome, Skylar. Skylar's our guest for today. Excellent. Okay, so today, sitting by me, who's going to come take over and run the show, is Nick West. He was born and raised in Eugene, Oregon. We actually went to high school together. Nick's love for the area is deeply rooted in his upbringing. His local insights and in-depth knowledge of the real estate market have made him a go-to agent for those looking to buy or sell in Lane County. He's been licensed since 2020, and Nick began his career with KW in the PC program, and then in 2023 was elected as a top producer to the KW ALC in Eugene. He also served on the ALC in 2024 as well, and now he dedicates a lot of his time to other nonprofits in the area. We were just talking today about how he needs to add event coordinator to his resume. So definitely pick his brain, enjoy, and have fun today. And I'll get out of his chair.
Thanks, Mara.
Here's your working phone.
Thank you. I totally was texting Mara being like, "Oh, are you gonna jump on and do you guys just need to do your intro?" And literally forgot that 20 minutes ago we were talking about how her phone was broken and she doesn't have a phone now. So like, or for the next hour or whatever. So my bad. Hold on. Okay. So as Mara was saying, I do a lot of like stuff in the community right now, and I'm actually throwing a huge event that is next week, so my computer is blowing up, so let me put it on do not disturb, so when I inevitably get 50 emails in the next hour, it doesn't keep pinging you guys. Brendan is here. Okay. Hi, Brendan. So hi everybody. My name is Nick West. Like Mara said, it's funny. We actually went to high school together, and one day we had lunch and we spent like an hour being like, "Do you know this person? Do you know this person?" We knew everybody, the same people, but turns out we have no memory of each other for the entire time, which is so weird. Like some of our best friends overlapped, but we have no memory of each other. I started in February 2020, which if you guys remember, that was like such a really cool time because I got here, came to the office, and then they were like, hey, there's this thing called COVID. Bye. And then 6 months or a year, whenever we came back, we were in a totally different building. So that was cool. But since then, yeah, I came from I come from a corporate retail background. So I worked for Apple for a long time in the retail part, and then I also was a corporate hiring person. So a lot of my like real estate, customer service, all that kind of comes from like Apple, which is really weird how much it has like led from one to the other. Um, when this is the I've taught this class a couple times now. If you can't already tell, there's times where I'll definitely just kind of like go, right? And I'm just talking. Don't feel weird if you're like, hand up, interrupt me really quick. Feel free to do that because otherwise I'll just keep going. And I'd rather have it be interactive. And if you have any questions, bring them up. And if it's something that isn't topical right there, we'll write it down and come back around to it, right? Let me get my notebook actually here. Today we're going to talk about lead follow-up and following up with your leads. And then what we can do, I just dropped my headphones, sorry. And then we're gonna move into a couple systems you can use. And if we have time, and if you guys want to, we can talk about smart plans. Built into the curriculum is there's a lot of like time dedicated to making calls and doing all that stuff. I'm not gonna make us be on a Zoom call together while we all make phone calls and any of that stuff. So I will, we're not gonna take the whole 3 hours because, like I said, an hour of that is you making calls. So I will trust that we are all adults, and when we're done with this, you can carry on at your reaching out to people today. And if you have any questions, obviously let me know, right? Getting my computer here. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. This is so like I said, I come from tech world, right? I come from Apple, but the second I stopped working there, I completely forgot every single thing about tech, and Zoom didn't exist back then, so bear with me. Okay. Can I get a nod that we see my slideshow, correct? Cool, great. Today, follow up with leads. Okay, so last one you guys did, you discussed keeping your leads, and after lead generation, conversion is one of the most business critical activities that you need to learn how to master, right? If you don't have appointments to go into, you can't have any sales contracts. So you need to make those appointments to be able to actually make those deals. 1 second here. There we go. Today's agenda, like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about lead conversion, how to convert leads to an appointment, how to improve your conversion rate. We'll go over a recap, have any questions, and then you can go on to your daily success system. Wow, it's so weird. My mouse is not clicking. I'm gonna have to use, there we go. Lead conversion is an essential part of the lead follow-up process, right? Often people assume that lead generation and lead conversion are the same thing, but that's not actually the case. At its core, lead generation is when you turn activities like prospecting and marketing into those leads, right? Conversion happens after that lead is captured and is part of the follow-up, okay? So it's different, like I said, because there's certain activities that turn leads into an appointments, and then the end goal of all that is to have a transaction. The effort you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. Okay, so makes sense. You can spend all day, all week writing letters or reaching out to your neighborhood, but you also need to just give as much of that attention to converting those leads rather than just actually getting them. You can buy a list of names from a website and be like, oh, look, I have 1,000 leads. but they're not going to do anything if they're just sitting there. You need to do something with those leads, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are still doing like a paper binder, if you have a binder, right? This is all in, or whether you're doing it PDF or digitally, this is all in your binder or your digital binder, wherever it is. So that all of these are in there too, right? So if you want, you can go to the lead conversion process page in your guide, and this is all in there too. So converting a lead to an appointment is the process that can happen quickly. Although in most cases it takes slow, right? It happens. Consistently getting every possible appointment from the leads you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. That's a quote from Gary Keller's Shift book. This starts at the top of the model with capture. So you have to capture the correct information and enough information to be able to build or to be able to contact that actual person, right? So they, I'm not sure how many of you have dove into your command, your database and all that, that kind of ranks your contacts. So obviously, like the more information, the better. If you can get a name, great. You need a contact. So email, phone number to actually be able to reach that name. If you can get an address, that means you know where they live. So you can generate neighborhood reports, right? If you have a birthday, you can reach out to them for their birthday. Then after you capture that information, you move on to connecting. Okay. So that's building a connection, gaining information that you might not have already, like a birthday or like an address. And then building trust, because also this is like the biggest transaction of most people's lives. And so you kind of need to there has to be a little level of trust there. And then finally, down at the bottom there, it ends with closing, right? We're specifically talking about lead conversion. So when we say close in this minute, we're meaning closing to get an appointment. Okay, so we say closing when you close a deal too, but this is like closing a lead conversion. So this is like you talking to your lead and then going, do you want to have an appointment now to further the relationship, right? Yeah, you continue to cultivate the lead as part of your regular lead follow-up program until they're ready to convert to an appointment, right? So you can have a lead there, and as long as you're touching or keeping in contact, a year later, you can close and get the appointment. After lead generation, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you have to master. It's where the possible business that comes from lead generating activities, like outreach, all that, turns into actual probable business, and then ultimately a profitable business, right? Converting the lead into an appointment has so much importance because it's how you know that you have a chance of earning income. It's how you're actually going to get paid. Converting appointments to business is also key to economic success, right? So, yeah, I mean, like I said, you, and I'm saying this because like I've been there, right? I don't know how new all of you are, if you're like have some experience, but we as new agents, or when you're a new agent, you can definitely get bogged down in a lot of things, a lot. And like I myself have been bogged down in just like, oh, lead generation. I'm going to generate so many leads. And so I spent all this time like putting all these names in my database and spending time on that. And then being like, okay, now I'm going to focus in on this other aspect, forgetting to actually reach out to those leads. And then you go on Facebook and you see like one of your own leads like bought a house from somebody they don't even know, right? So anyways, yeah, that's why converting that, going from your possible business to your probable to your profitable, is so important, obviously. Oh my God, wow. Does that all make sense? We all, no, that makes sense, right? I mean, that's not brain science. Again, like if you have any questions or anything, we share the ahas and like the questions because we're stronger together. One thing that I love about Keller Williams, I've only ever been a Keller Williams agent, so I don't know the difference. But one thing I do know about Keller Williams is the aspect of sharing information and helping each other. It's very much that. So, like I said, if you have any questions or think of something, feel free to share. Okay. Next step. We're going to talk about the specific steps of the lead conversion model for converting those leads into appointments, right? So this will help you kind of provide structure for success and lay the groundwork for where we're going. Capturing is defined as collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information of a potential buyer or seller. So kind of like I said a second ago, name, phone number, minimum, right? At its simplest, capturing is collecting the minimum amount of valid information. This should include their name, way to get a hold of them, such as email and phone number. Most likely, this will occur when you're just lead generating, obviously. What have any of you done any lead generating on your own, and how have you done it?
I
I
put
used to
my
just-
information just on local Facebook posts, and then they've reached out to me that way.
Yep, totally. So social media, cool.
I ask for specifics, so I can send them something.
Yep.
I was with a
Anybody
group
else?
of ponds, and I would just call blind people just with phone numbers. No name.
Wait, say that again?
So I was with a group that had ponds, had phone numbers, and that was all I had. So I would just call people with just a phone number.
Okay, I literally thought you said you specifically like targeted and called blind people, and I was like,
Oh,
elaborate.
I heard that too.
No, yeah, totally. So like just cold calling. So full on just cold calling.
yeah, it was very
Cool.
cool.
Yeah. Open
But
houses.
I got good leads from it.
That's good. Cold calling is a thing that you will either do or not do, right? You might be forced to do it a little bit, but if you're not wanting to do it, you're not going to do it. And there's a lot of people that more people don't than do. So if it works for you, it works for you because you're actually like not competing with 100% of other agents because very little are actually doing that type of lead generation. And like if you do it and you do it right, it totally works. Has anybody done open house yet?
Yes.
Have you done an open house like lead capture form or a sign-in sheet or anything like that?
Yes.
Cool. That's a big one. There's a lot of times where you're like, oh, I'm gonna do open houses and get some leads, but you don't actually get the lead from the person because you get kind of nervous or you can like forget to have them sign in. A way that I do it is I have a sheet. I ask the sellers if they want to require sign-ins, and they will say yes to me. And then I will have a sheet that says seller required sign-in. So when I go to the open house, I say, oh, look, seller is requiring you to sign in. That's all. And there you go. Mailers, flyers, other things people do, for sale signs, people call them those all the time. Tons of ways to lead generate, right? When you're capturing,
About this.
yeah.
Sorry, back to the sign-in. I'm hosting an open house for someone this weekend, so I would
Cool.
go to the listing agent and ask her if that's something that I can do, and then she goes to her seller. Is that right?
You could do that. Or what I would do is what I would do is I would have your open house sheet, and between me and you in this group, the sheet is going to say a lot. So you want to make that sheet look like professional and a form, right? It's not like a lined piece of paper. What I would do is I would get a hold of a listing agent and say, cool, hey, I want to do your open house this weekend. Super excited. That's great. I'm going to have a seller required sign-in sheet, right? So then we can, just in case tracking, and that agent is going to say 100% go for it, obviously. You can also be like, this is my open house required sign-up sheet, but you're going to get less flack or back and forth if you're like the seller required. And like I said, mine is my document, just the seller required. It's like, oh, look, this is the required sign-in sheet. It's funny, the sign-in sheet. And people what?
People are fine with that. They don't turn around and
Yeah.
say, no, I'm not giving you my information.
No, there's, you might get some pushback. Your sign-in sheet should say the name, their email, their phone number, and then the question, are they working with an agent? Yes, no. My sign-in sheet also says, if yes, then who? Because A, then I know that they're not lying, and B, then I can reach out to that listing agent potentially if I want to be like, hey, your clients came to my open house. Da 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 da. If you have any questions, let me know. Right? That's all. But you definitely want to collect that information. And then on my sign-in sheet, I also have a yes, no, can I contact you? If I, right? Um, most people will say yes because you're not gonna like spam them. But yeah, and this kind of came and like this is true. This like kind of came kind of from COVID. So everybody used to always have a sign-in sheet, right? That's the point. That's how you get a lead from an open house, is you have their information. COVID, when it was like crazy and you had to like have one person at the house at a time and contract tracing, that's kind of really where it came from, being like, oh, okay, this is like just in case we actually need you to sign in. And then, like I said, it just kind of evolved into, right? That makes sense.
Yep.
But
Totally.
yeah, seller required sign-in sheet. Love that. Have a sign-in sheet. I used to do it on an iPad because I'd be like, "Ooh, it's sleek and fun." And then what's so weird is you can hand somebody who owns the exact same iPad and be like, "Type on this," and they're like, "I don't know how keyboard works," and it's like they panic. So I just have a sheet of paper next to like whatever else, my little welcome to my open house sign.
And then the seller required sign-in sheet is kind of like the heading on it.
Yep. I can send you a copy. I can send all of you a copy of mine. Yeah.
It'd be
That'd be
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. What I'll do is at the end of this, I'll put my email in there, and then if anybody that wants stuff, just reach out to me, and I'll just send you a copy of my. I have a open house sign-in sheet, and then whenever so check the schedule when there's an open house, either Ignite or PC class, go to it because it's a good one and it has so many ideas and like stuff that you don't even think about doing for an open house that you're like, wow, that's genius. There's a lot of ways to have a really successful open house.
And you said that's the KW class, or?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an Ignite class like this one or if it's just a PC class like the ones that Mara teaches. I think it's called Rockin' Open House, I think. Next time you're with Mara, or be like, hey, when is the open house class? Because it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you're capturing the leads, it's important to know what you're going to say before you start the conversation also, especially if you're like going in cold, right? Like instead of saying, what is your phone number? You can kind of make it come from like a place of you're helping, right? You're not selling, you're like helping, you're informing, you're coaching. So you would say like, if I were to need to contact you, what number would that be? If I found exactly what you're looking for, how would I contact you? That's their phone number, email, right? If I found out the information you're wanting, how could I get that to you? And this way you're not, like I said, you're coming from a place of care and you're like, I'm here to help. I'm not selling you anything. And honestly, here's the thing too, you actually aren't selling anything ever. You're maybe selling like yourself as a business sometimes, right? But like when it comes to buying houses, you don't sell a house. The house sells itself. You're just helping on the journey, getting the keys, the logistics, right? I always tell people that because sometimes it seems just like a casual joke I'll make to like client because it's like, oh yeah, people will be like used car salesmen, realtors are selling houses. And it's like, no, in fact, when I go into a house, I'm usually more critical and judgy about the house than the clients are, right? And say that. So yeah, for that step, the first step of the capture, if you have a system in place, it'll make it easier for you and you'll kind of like, you kind of get a rhythm to it, right? All leads may not be ready for an appointment. Most leads will not be ready for an appointment. So your goal is then to gain their mind share. So they're thinking about you and continue to stay in close proximity to them so that when they are ready, they think about you. There's a fun stat that somebody told me, so I don't know if this is like 100% true or not, but she's like a really good lender and she says this in her classes that basically people forget about you every 21 days. So if you haven't talked to somebody in 3 weeks, they're probably not thinking about you anymore. And if you talk to somebody, like a month ago if 3 weeks goes by, their coworker might say, my daughter's neighbor's friend is a realtor, you should use them. And they're like, okay, cool. Because they just haven't thought about you. And that was the first person they thought about was the person that just told them that, right? Um, has anybody started working on their command database, like in command?
Yes,
Sweet,
started.
sweet. Keep doing it. It's really hard to fall out. You can now get a command app on your phone. So when you put a contact in your phone, you can upload it to command as well. And then I recommend also tagging people in command. So in your database. And I put literally everybody in my database. I don't reach out to necessarily every single one of them, but I have them in there. And tagging helps too because like I have other realtors in there. And so I'm not gonna like text them, something necessarily. But if I want another realtor or want to send out a referral resource, right? Then I have those all tagged in there. And it's really easy to like forget and fall out of keeping up with your contacts, but try to make it like if it's not a daily thing to you, try to make like at least a weekly thing and be like, okay, I'm gonna go through my last weeks of whatever and make sure that my phone matches my command contacts.
So are you saying they don't work together? They like if I put something in like
Doesn't not yet, as far as I know, but like less than a year ago ish, they did update the command app, so it's way more user friendly to upload straight from your phone to your command app. Where like yeah, and you can even just be like all new, and it'll just like pop them in there, right? But then you kind of need to want to go in and like make sure and like curate and like write notes and stuff like that. So the second step after capturing the info and getting the most info you can is to connect, right? So connecting is about laying down that foundation for a working relationship. What is important during this step is to listen, ask good questions, offer solutions, and keep the focus and conversation on them. Okay. The goal of the communication part and the connecting part, in addition to building the relationship, is to determine like an urgency of where they're at, right? So, and to have them give you enough information to know how to prioritize this lead, right? Whether it's like a hot lead that you're like, oh, I need to really focus in on this. Something's gonna happen in the next week, or I'm probably 2 years down the road, this and that. And as far as reaching out in like a smart plan sense or uh, a monthly sort of way, however you want to do that, that person should be kind of kept the same, right? But as far as the actual fire behind what lead you're doing on and how much you want to focus in on that one, that'll kind of give you away the urgency when you're connecting with them, right? I mean, some people will literally tell you and be like, I need to do this next week, and then it's really obvious. As you communicate and connect, keep these in mind, right? So embed your value proposition into the conversation and position yourself as the local expert. Okay. So sometimes with a new agent, it's hard to be like, we can kind of get imposter syndrome and be like, I don't know if I know the answer to it, right? Well, you're actually kind of are already an expert just by getting your license and hanging it somewhere and having that title. You already know way more than most people, even if that like might not seem that way. The cool thing too is because you're a KW agent, there's so many resources from you. And if a client ever asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, the best thing to do is say, oh my God, I don't know the answer to that. Good question. Let's figure it out together, because then you're literally coming from, again, you're embedding your value proposition right there by being like, oh, let's learn together. This is great, right? Having confidence when you talk to people too. Knowing what somebody says when they're like, what's the market like? And whether you're like, good, right? Versus knowing the conversation, what to say back and forth to them. It's sometimes hard, but if you can get a buddy and do role playing and practice those conversations, it does make it easier, right? And to know the market data, right? So like we all get a million emails, and in this job also there are some times where Like I will overhear an agent or somebody just being like, oh, well, I haven't checked my email in like 3 months. I don't know the password. And in my mind, I go, wow, I can't think of any other job where you are allowed to not check your email for 3 months. You check your email whenever, and you'll learn a lot about the market because you'll get plenty of reports all the time. And then using a backward design when you're thinking about communication. So you think about the intended outcome, like what you want to have happen at the end before you even start it. And so then you ask questions to help lead them towards that answer, right? So yeah, like you're gonna want to kind of like lead the conversation. Your questions, you don't want them to be yes, no questions. You want open up questions, right? So they're gonna like talk to you and tell you more. There's 6 connection questions, right? So we know what, who, what, when, where, why, and how, what they are, right? But connecting is more than just like small talk, right? So when you're going communication, you should seek to answer the 6 basic questions, right? Who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want or need to do it? How do they plan to do it? You clock the 2 through 5 where it says want or need. That right there is an open up. And that is a way where how you can judge like how hot or cold this lead is too, because whether they say want or need. These questions help people open up basically, right? If you the participant guide. Okay, so there is a note in here and I want to go find it because I think there are some good questions in there. And if you do get eventually to your guide, oh, where is it? One of the pages in there does have some good questions. Yeah, so if you guys go to page 6, those are really good ways of doing those questions, right? So when you say, who are they? Well, you can't, okay, well then what am I supposed to say, right? So a way that you can do that is slow the conversation down and be like, oh, hey, back up, hold on, wait, tell me more about yourself, right? Instead of just jumping right in. So the objective for that is you're looking for as much personal information as possible, right? That they're willing to share. So like, are they married? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? What are their jobs? All that stuff. These are details that you'll remember and later put in your database to use them in the future. What do they need to do? Example there, you say, thank you for sharing that information. Right now, if you would please tell me, like, what do you want to do? What's your goal here? Where do you want to go with this? What do you need? Again, you're beginning to assess their wants and needs versus like what I would like to have versus what I actually need to have and when I need to do it and plans. Where do they want? So you get them to figure out like the location, kind of get an idea of what they're thinking and what their current situation is. When you talk to somebody about why they want or they need it, that you can determine that way their motivation, right? So like job, family, divorce, marriage, right? Like why are they doing this? When, that's a pretty straight one, right? And that will let you determine the timeline, come up with a timetable for it. And then how do they plan on doing it is one where it's just like, okay, let's talk like literally. So do you have a lender? Are you this cash? That kind of bleeds into the timeline of how long do we need to take to make this happen? So these are good questions, basically, yeah, like I said, to just get people to open up. Which obviously people would rather, it's easier to get someone to talk to you if they have if you can kind of like create a narrative where they have a story to tell you versus just a yes or no. So weird, I can't use my mouse to move the slides. You can't know or predict when someone will come to a decision, right? But if you reconnect with them in a systematic way, talk those 2 words, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do, right? And that's when you'll be able to close the appointment. So you see the part where it says, cultivate in there, right? So when you go cultivate, the reason it's for and off to the side is because you capture, you connect, and then you're either going to close for the appointment. If you don't close for the appointment, then you're going to cultivate the relationship. And this one way it says reconnecting in a systematic way matters because again, you can't just be like, I'm going to call Jerry today, but I haven't talked to him in 6 months and just say hi. It doesn't really work that way because you want to be top of mind. And also why cultivate is for is because you want to keep cultivating because You want them to then refer you other clients. And then also when they go to sell their house that they just bought, you want them to call you, right? But your goal in using a lead conversion model is to move from capture, connect to close. You'll find you'll find people that aren't ready, right, to go even to an appointment, and that's where you cultivate. To keep mind share, you'll use something called a touch campaign. Is this the first time you're hearing about a touch campaign in this class session?
First time I've heard it.
Okay, cool. Well, you're gonna never forget this one because you're gonna hear it now for the rest of your career. A touch campaign is what kind of we call in the business the thing when you get a text from Walmart saying this thing's on sale, right? That's a touch campaign. So it's basically a marketing campaign. In Ignite, you're going to learn a lot about touch campaigns and which ones you do. There's ones that have like brand names. There's a 19 to connect, 36 to convert. That's all, everybody kind of has their own. What the most probably popular and known one is that everybody knows about, but very few fully do. Mara does. So you can ask Mara about it. She actually is one of the few people that I know that actually fully does it. It's called a 36 touch campaign. Sorry, somebody's walking by my office. A 36 touch campaign essentially means that you are going to reach out and touch that client lead 36 times in 1 year. Sounds easier than it is. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but that's the most like tried and true. Like I feel like if before my grandpa passed away, he was a realtor. I bet I could be like, hey grandpa, do you know what 36 touches? And he'd be like, yeah, I do. Right. So that's how you do a campaign or a smart plan or a touch campaign is that's how you basically stay top of mind and you leverage those keeping in contact until you're able to get that appointment, right? As you start implementing your touch campaigns, you can always kind of create your own that fit into your own business needs. It's like I said, it's hard to just start and be like, yeah, 36 touch, right? What I would do is, start small. And then if you want like get bigger, do what you can commit to, because otherwise, again, it's just gonna like kind of turn you off to it and you're gonna stress about it and then log into your command and it's gonna say you need to do these 30 things and then you're gonna just close it and walk away. So yeah, start with what you can do and what you can commit to, right, for your business. And then alter it for like your clients and your vibe, like what you do, right? Cultivation is the step in the model which finds the agents find themselves struggling a lot with, right? Why do you think agents struggle so much to cultivate and stay top of mind?
I'd say for me, there's just so much being new that you're trying to learn that you're, I've been saying since I started, you're like drinking from a fire hydrant. So you're learning, not exactly sure how to implement it, but trying to still learn. And so you're probably not putting everything to practice just because you're trying to absorb it all.
Yep. 100%. So what happens is you like, I'm going to do this, 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 and I'm going to do this. And you have no systems. And then it all comes crashing down and you do a shitty job of each one of those, right?
Exactly.
Like it's so easy to be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then not actually do a good job on all of them where you could focus in on the one. It's systems. So yeah, the answer is systems, right? Like we don't have, you're your own boss now, most of us, unless we're on a team. The systems that are just kind of built into place at other jobs, we don't have that. They're out there, but you have to implement them and actually follow them, which can be really hard to do as you're like a free agent, right? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, one thing, just so you know, because you said you're drinking from a fire hose and all that good stuff, that actually never ends. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could literally spend the next Monday through Saturday probably going to some sort of 1 to 4 hour class to get a free lunch or get a CE credit for the next year, right? Like there is so much like it's always coming at you. And also, like I said, that's another thing. We forget our systems, and then you can almost use like, oh, I got to take this class to do this thing. And you can literally do that for a year straight. The knowledge is out there, but it can also almost be overwhelming.
For me, I find that I don't know if I'm doing things right. Like if I set up my video correctly or my app or all of that, am I doing it right?
Yeah. As far as like actual like in command technology stuff, there's a little like question mark button that's a chat, and that will actually let you chat with like a real person as far as the actual like technology part of it. Mara is a really good resource. Like Mara knows, she's KW, she knows command, all that. So Mara is a great resource. Her office hours, she literally does the office hours for this, where if you're like, I got a question about this, hop on. And then also like if there's something that you're like, okay, this guy knows smart plans, I know smart plans, which is something we'll get to. Ask me a question about smart plans. Come to the office. There's always people here. Like I said, Keller Williams is like we're really good about sharing knowledge. I literally have a listing I can't sell down in Medford. I know it's far, but it's a friend of mine. And I just brought my computer, walked down the office hallway, and everybody that was in their office, I was like, look at this listing and tell me why it's not selling. Just because I was like, hey, you're here, help me out. So like don't feel weird about like asking questions and helping people. Like I said, we're really good at that. But I do get understanding like the technology and not knowing all of it, because there is a lot coming at you all the time. And with tech, say you're like, all right, I'm gonna make a poster for myself. Then it's like, okay, how do I make a poster? Do I use Canva? Do I use Adobe? Do I use Shutterstock or whatever? There's all that and learning all that, and it is overwhelming and it can be daunting and take a lot of time. So I get that for sure.
Did you figure out what the problem with the listing in Medford was?
No. Nope. I mean, we haven't, you know what the problem is? We haven't found the right buyer.
Yeah.
That's it. So like, it's just taking longer. The house is a specific house at a specific price point. Once you hit like, your 450s, the amount of people, right? It's a family house. Someone will come and find it. I just was like pulling my hair out, being like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Why does nobody looking at this? And it's just that right now. It's just how it is.
Well, if you need someone to do an open house, I'm down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Love that. And then I heard somebody who's in the Dalles, right? Who's in the Dalles? Okay, Emily, I might be calling you too, because I got something going on in the Dalles right now. So, or in a month or so. So
I'll get in line for Roseburg.
Love it. Okay, all right. So everybody, when they're done, email me if you want if you want me to send you a whatever, and then tell me where you are too. So I'll put you in my command contacts.
Do you want to give us your email now?
Yeah, I'll just do it now. Here, I'll just type it in. Okay. I can figure out how to do that. Let's see what you got. I'm so glad I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, because it has rang. I don't even know how many times at this point. Okay, I'm stopping sharing for a second so I can get to the chat box. So yeah, if you want my name is Nick West, and my phone number is 541. Whoops. That's my phone number, and my email is that right there. Pretty easy. I'm gonna share the screen back. Okay. Okay, we're doing good. Keep moving on. Oh yeah. Okay. So often agents like struggle with cultivation, right? Because they don't have the systems. It's totally true that they let the lead slip away, and then they get all disappointed and mad when they learn that the lead transacted with a different agent, right? And this will also happen to you. It will hurt and it sucks, but you will get over it. It happens to all of us, but trying, right? So don't be like, I can't believe that it will happen, but you don't want it to, and your goal to not is your systems, right? That's going to help you. You shouldn't let the lead slide into someone else's hands, especially when you've actually invested a lot, right? So there's things where like you invested into a relationship as well. It's like your time, you're not free, right? So don't let it go to waste, right? So there's one that's called 1 to cement and 36 to convert will be the system that you put in place to cultivate your leads until they're ready to. So that's like the first one that I think you can get in command. It's a smart plan. And we'll go over that one too and stuff. And if we have time, we'll talk about smart plans, which usually people want to chat about it. You can't predict or know when someone's going to come to a decision, right? But if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. Okay. That's when you'll be able to close the appointment. Stay top of mind. Okay, fun quiz time. When you're asking for an appointment, which format do you think is the most effective? Shout it out. In person?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It's in person. Just like the touch is right. To stay in emotional proximity, there's varying degrees of effectiveness, and they all need to be used. Can't meet every person in all the time, right? But the least effective option is writing. So text message and email. Okay, since you're not actually communicating together in real time, you can't really immediately respond to any issues or really get like the vibe or feel. Phone calls and in-person options are going to have the best effect on your lead conversion, obviously. When you're setting the appointment, elements to schedule. So you're not just looking for a yes or a no to response to asking for the appointment. As soon as you get a yes, schedule the appointment right at everyone's earliest convenience. That's the time, date, location. One thing to keep in mind is the location. Don't go to a place where you can't actually have the conversation. And then for me, if it this is me, it sets a way different tone if you meet somebody at the office. It's hard to do because sometimes you'll get a call and they'll be like, I want to look at this house. And you're like, okay, 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 cool. And then you like go to the house, then they don't even know if they're pre-approved. They don't know, you know what I mean? Like they don't even know if they can buy a house yet. They don't even know how the process works. If you can set the tone and like set the stage in the office, which we have a great, awesome office, all the KWs, wherever you are, have a great office to go to. It sets a tone of like professionality, right? It sets you're kind of in charge. It can be easy to let all of a sudden your client be in charge because they're excited and you don't know how to like say no. Just setting that tone and keeping that appointment like in person in office is great. Starbucks is great too. You can go to Starbucks, feel it out for like your client, right? If they're like, if they're a person that hates Starbucks because of whatever reason, don't take them there. But lunches are fine. But you're not going to want to go to like a bowling alley for your first meeting, right? Okay, quote, in the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. Okay. If they don't have a good enough reason to meet, they won't. That's okay. You don't really care what their answer is ultimately, is because you're not getting people to do anything they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree with that meeting, until they agree that that meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. So, right, like if they don't want to go to a meeting with you, they're not going to. You just want to be top of mind so that when they want to have that meeting and it makes sense for them to have it, you're the one they call and you have the meeting. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Pretty good. Questions, ahas, anything?
When you were talking about meeting at the office, I'm 3 almost hours away. So my only option is going to just be something like a coffee shop.
So what I would do with you is find a place, like know a couple places ahead of time, kind of, right? Like that's the vibe I would do. So if you're like, okay, your favorite Starbucks or your favorite coffee shop, and kind of like make that your regular spot then. Like almost like eventually when you walk in, people will be like, oh, Emily's here with the client. You know what I mean? Something like that.
So it's like
Obviously,
satellite office.
What was that?
Like your satellite office.
Kind of, yeah, almost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so we have the model, the steps, and the actions to convert a lead to an appointment, right? Now we're gonna dig deeper. Don't let me lose you here. I promise. It's just a second and it's so we're gonna talk about conversion rate now. Ugh. Your conversion rate refers to the percentage of leads that you ask for an appointment to those that agree to the appointment. Just like many different types of closings, there's many different types of conversion rate. So people will be like, well, my conversion rate is my leads to houses I've sold, because that agent might only have 10 leads. They sold 2 houses from those 10. That's great. Other people they'll base it off of appointments and be like, okay, I have 100 leads. I set 80 appointments. Great. I have an 80% conversion rate, right? Either way, your ultimate goal is to increase your skills so that you can convert at the highest percentage possible, right? So, example, again, 10 leads, you asked an appointment for 10, you asked 10 leads an appointment, 8 of them gave you an appointment, you have an 80% conversion rate. If you're converting at a low percentage, that should tell you that you have a lead conversion challenge. The challenge is not the number of leads generated, but your ability to get them to an appointment, right? So again, it's easy to get a lead. I can put my old high school, all of my old high school teachers. I can probably find them on Facebook and find their information and put them in my contacts. Who cares? Doesn't matter unless I'm actually like working towards those. So again, like if you're seeing like I have 1,000 people in my contacts books and I've done 1 appointment, that might be a systems issue, right? That's going to be like, that means you need to work on your system to get those. Sometimes the lead conversion is based on your total number of leads, like I said, in your database. Sometimes it's based on the leads that are being cultivated at the current time. Also, so other people will be like, okay, here's my current, I got 10 leads that I'm working. 5 of them are hot. We're probably gonna do something with, and that might be your conversion rate. Again, you make it work for your business, but the goal is the higher the conversion rate, no matter what conversion rate you're doing, the better. So here's ways to improve your conversion rate. Once you understand what your conversion rate is, then basically now you can figure out how to improve it, right? This is when you get more purposeful, you get more skilled at improving your conversion rate. Gaining insights to what you're doing can get more purposeful and will ultimately bring you more transactions, right? More closed deals. Some activities are way better than others. Some activities work better for certain agents, depending on who their clients are and who they're going for. But ways that you can do it to time block for lead conversion, that's a huge one. Okay. I come from Apple, and at one point I had to time block like 20 people's schedules their entire day, and I wanted to rip my hair out. Like it would hours and hours and hours, and I hated it. And then I was like, I'm never gonna hear time blocking again in my life. I'm never gonna have to hear about Facebook and time blocking. Well, guess what? You're in real estate. Turns out time blocking and Facebook are huge. So time block it. And again, you don't have to time block your entire day out like I had to do. You can be like, I'm gonna time block this chunk of time, my every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon is my lead time. And put it in your calendar and then do it. And if you erase it or it gets moved, you have to replace that, right? So make up for it. Use conversations in your systems. So practice your conversations, practice your dialogues, practice asking for the close, practice your buyer and seller presentations. You should all have a buyer and a seller presentation. I will tell you, I have a very good listing selling presentation because I redid it this year with the help of some like mega agents from Seattle and North Carolina. They kind of helped me work on mine. And my goal is to really update my buyer packet, because when I first started, I made a buyer's packet, and it was basically a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of somebody else's. And I've been using that forever. And now that I have this awesome listing packet, I'm going to take the time to customize and make my buyer's packet. But you should all have one, whether you take one that's just readily available from you right now because they're available, they're in command. You can ask, I think, ask Mara for hers, right? She has a buyer's packet. I'm pretty sure my first buyer's packet was Mara's, and then I just kind of copied hers, and that was that. So everybody should have a buyer's packet and a listing packet, and you should, not to overwhelm and add to your stuff, work on it, because you don't know it. If you don't have a listing packet or a listing presentation, and then you get a call for a listing, and it's in like the only time to do it is in 2 days, you're not going to be prepared or have a solid tight listing presentation or packet in 2 days. Can't do it. It takes longer than that to make it. Once you make it, though, it's done basically, and there's only little tiny pieces that you need to personalize. Yeah, so use the conversations. Conversations are a powerful tool that can help you say what you intend to say the most powerful, in fact, and impactful way, right? So if you practice it and you know what you're going to say, you can make it powerful, like a script, like a play, like a movie. That's why I practice it. And then use systems that support lead conversion in your business. So systems, make sure you take the right steps in the right time and continue to keep and gain mind share. The systems that I use is Command, which we are provided from Keller Williams. There's tons of systems out there that you can use. They're called CRMs. I don't know if you know, client relations management software. That's what Command is. It's also like where we do our paperwork and all that, but you can get SkySlope or God, there's a million out there. I don't use them. I don't pay for them because I use the Keller Williams one that's provided to us, right? And that's the system that I use to keep me going. Don't neglect your database. It's really, really easy to do this. Reconnect with each person, and when you do, practice asking for referrals. Okay. Conversion activities are also not just for leads, they're for your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence are your, like, I like to think of them as like my top 20. My sphere of influence is my top 20 that would, like, in their sleep, just like reflex recommend me, because I probably hang out with them the most and talk to them the most. So don't forget about your sphere of influence, right? Like, it's easy to be like, oh, well, Callie's my best friend, so of course she's going to remind. You still need to, like, keep that going. How you connect with people that you lost connection with, which again is so easy to do, is you come from care. Okay. Write that down. Come from care. You come from care, curiosity, and contribution to get back into that relationship. I have literally called a client, and this was my own bad, and just time passed. I don't know why, for whatever reason. I just called and was like, Maya, I am so sorry, by the way. I suck so much. I usually try to keep in touch with you, blah, blah, blah. I haven't. Life, this and that, doesn't matter. I'm just calling to apologize. And she was like, what are you? Wait, I love you. What are you talking about? Great. And it was like, I was literally like terrified, right? So come from care. Like, when you're coming from care, you're not calling to be like, hi, do you have any referrals for leads for me or anything like that? You're calling to be like, what can I help you with? Right? So when you're calling to get a referral, you don't actually have to necessarily ask, be like, do you have any friends or family that are looking to buy or sell real estate right now? You can get that from just the conversation of being like, hello, how are you doing? How are the kids? This and that. Oh, me, business, this and that. You're just reconnecting, right? And then when it comes to your leads, again, know how to prioritize, right? So know where your leads kind of are in their process, right? So don't not mention anything real estate if you know somebody's thinking about it, right? So, like, do kind of gauge that and know where you're at there with those qualified leads and potential clients, right? Every lead has the potential to turn into a business that you have, that you've already heard, right? There's no bad leads, okay? There's no bad leads. With this model, and this is how you think about, like, just like I said, burn this into your brain, capture, connect, cultivate, close, right? This is how it naturally happens. This is how friendship basically naturally happens. It's also how business relationships happen as well, okay? So capture the appropriate information. You got to know what you need. connect to assess their needs, cultivate that relationship, get that appointment. Question.
I have a different question.
Yeah.
So I have a client and I'm kind of afraid I'm going to lose her because we haven't found her a home. And so now she's asking me to send her the RMLS listings to Redfin through Redfin. And I don't know how to do that. Is that even possible?
No. Redfin, so everything sucks. The tried and true is your MLS. Okay. Like that's where it is. I didn't make this up, but for this moment, I made this up. The A in Zillow stands for accuracy. There is not an A in Zillow. So yeah, literally, I mean, you can say, what I always tell people is like, hey, look, I love Zillow too, whatever, right? It's pretty, it's a good app, RMLS or Flex MLS, or if you have the one in Medford, that's my brain, I can't remember. If that's where the listing is created, so that's where the actual true information is. I always just tell people like, yep, if you find something on Zillow, great, we'll look at it. Use Redfin if you like the app, right? But all those are going to be in the MLS. And like if you're using our MLS, like ours in Lane County or Greater Oregon, it's not the prettiest fully. It looks like a 30-year-old website, but that is where the listings are created in. I always tell people too that if we're on like a listing search, like a prospecting search in the MLS, and they find something on Zillow, send it to me, because then we're going to figure out why it wasn't on your list, right?
So maybe I should know this by now, but when the information gets entered into MLS, how does Zillow get it, or Redfin, or any of those things?
Internet magic. It just
Okay.
populates. There's actually a word for it. I don't. It's basically internet magic. Like their website is always pinging all the MLSs in the world, and then anything that new pops up, it pops in there. So like within 5 minutes of you listing it, it'll show up on Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com.
Why is it inaccurate then, or what makes it inaccurate?
Because like things just port over weird, right? Like so. The amount, okay, one that I really see, here's one that I see, and this is where like that joke comes from, is I would have a client send me a listing, they'd be like, oh my gosh, what about this one? And it's this like really cute house that I haven't seen, and it's on Zillow. And then all of a sudden you look at MLS and you're like, oh, not only is it pending, it closed 4 days ago. It is off the market, it's sold. And like that happens a lot. I don't know why, but that's the big one I see, is that like they'll send in an active listing, but it's actually pending or it's actually closed. That's the big one. And then
so basically, if someone sends you a Zillow listing, you are best to then go into RMLS and look it up and see if it's still even an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's not like but it happens enough where it's like the tried and true is always going to be the MLS, because that's where the listing is actually populated. A for sale by owner is not going to be in MLS, and it might be if they do a certain way, but that's not. So that might show up on Zillow, where people are like, what's this? And it's like Joe took the picture with his cell phone and he's trying to sell it on Zillow, and like that deal is probably going to fall through, just so you know. Or then you can call that person and say, I have a potential buyer, are you willing to pay a buyer's agent commission? Yeah, but MLS is the best. Like, and Mitch, wait, did you say you're in Medford?
Yeah, I live in Grants Pass, but the Medford office.
Okay, so down there they use what's called Flex MLS.
Yep.
Oh, you want to see like nice MLS? It's called Flex. RMLS, one we use here, it's all the same. It's just like how it looks, right? But Flex MLS is, you're lucky.
The couple times we did a class and it was like on the screen was your guys's, it was the RMLS. I'm like, what the hell is this? It does not look like mine.
It literally is like an HTML code website. Like it is not, you need don't try to do anything, put a listing on anything mobile. You can, Mitch, you can, but if you're using RMLS, a computer.
So back to my question, how can I tell her that I can't take the RMLS and put it, send it through Redfin, because Redfin is keeping track of all the homes she's looked at, and she likes that because she's looked at a lot of homes, like a lot.
What about just giving
Yeah.
her the address and then she looks them up on her
She
side?
doesn't want that. She wants the
Yeah.
QR, or she wants the link.
Uh,
I mean, that sucks because like Redfin is like, just so you all know, like Zillow does not want you to exist. They do not want you to buy and sell houses. They actually like at one point bought and sold their own houses, right? Redfin is the same thing. Redfin, you sign up to become a Redfin agent, and then you're like a part of Redfin, and it's just I don't really know how it works. It's like you're like a door opener and you help with contracts. So like it's tough because yeah, I get that what Redfin's cute, the website's great, but like if Redfin had it their way, you wouldn't even be involved in this. A Redfin agent would be because they're going to make more money from that person than you. Same with Zillow. Zillow, you when you look at your own listing on Zillow, it's like call Darren Ricketts, and you're like, that's my listing. It's well because Darren pays Zillow, so it's you know what I mean. Um, I would just kind of do that. I would just be like, look, I know Redfin is like pretty and it's good and it looks really good on your phone, but it's just it's not it's a business. Like it's a for-profit separate business. The MLS is how we put the information into it. There's no way to add information to a Redfin listing, right? You know, just kind of like that's kind of how I would position
Okay.
it. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
it's
my
tough.
problem is she's in Costa Rica, so it's like I can't even really talk to her all that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's weird too because like I was looking at like houses in Mexico and I was like reflexed started using Zillow and I was like, oh, that's really not a thing in Mexico. Weird. And then I had like figure out how to look at houses, you know what I mean? Like I even just was like, how does a normal person look at houses in Mexico? Um and yeah, it is tough, but that is kind of just the way I would position it is be like the MLS is where the listing is created, that has the tried and true information. It's how you get a hold of the agents. It shows how you communicate, how you look at the house, like just kind of like build that and be like, I know it doesn't look pretty, but that's where it is. That's like what and then you can be like, that's what I have to work off of. I can send you the MLS number and you can search for it in Redfin and it'll show up that way.
Okay.
I
Thank
can be
you.
like, here, instead of the address, here's the MLS number if you want to look it up in the app because you love the app. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, because she's just getting impatient. I think she just can't find the right house. So
Yeah. And like that happens. It'll come. It'll come. It's out there. And you know, a lot of it, you know, I joke all the time. I'll be like, okay, so I'm a licensed real estate professional in the state of Oregon. I am an unlicensed contractor. I'm an unlicensed therapist. I'm an unlicensed Uber driver. I'm an unlicensed, you know what I mean? So like the unlicensed therapy sessions are really fun. I have those all the time. um okay,
About the
so
MLS.
just
Sorry.
like everything, just everything. Like you're a licensed therapist, you'll get, I mean, the amount of like no two deals are the same. Someone's asking something. 1 second. Hi. Oh yeah, put it right there. Yeah, surprise me. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just got a pumpkin plant. Ooh, thanks. Our all partner meeting did a plant swap and I had to do a walkthrough at the Lane Event Center fairgrounds with police and security for the event that I'm throwing. It was so stressful. And I didn't get to exchange plants. Oh yeah, unlicensed therapist, just like the amount of times you can sell 2 matching houses to 2 clients that are very similar with the same loan. They both have their kids look the same. It will not go the same. It never goes the same. Your job is to like keep the transaction going. So the amount of times where like, you know, something falls through or a house that we really wanted gets pending and goes to somebody else. And then they're calling you like crying and like being like, I don't even know if it's worth it. And you're like, it is. Your house is, you know, there's that. It's just that. And I'm not a good therapist, but I try. I don't have a therapy license. Yeah, so kind of as we like wrap this one up here, you know, like I said, keep the system for getting your oh my god, wow, brain fart. The system for like curating those leads, right? So capture, connect, cultivate, appointment. Know how to apply your methods, practice. It totally helps. The like how well, here, I'm not gonna. I'll go. We'll get to that in a second. I'm gonna finish this class, and then we'll talk about what I do. Take those questions So those 6 connecting questions, like find that in that, if you have that page, just like highlight that little page in your book. Because you like, if you can remember to use those and not just remember like who, what, when, where, how, but how to make those questions be open up questions and almost kind of know your responses, you'll sound so much more professional and so much more like ready to go with it, right? Each day, well, here we go. Each day in Ignite, you grow how you think, you feel, you act, and you implement what you've learned, right? Basically, what you're here for is your big goals, right? For your why. You're here to achieve your big goals. Taking the time to reflect on what you've learned is also important, right? So when I say like, don't overwhelm yourself, you can have a million systems, but find one that matches for you. And then actually like believe in it. Okay. So like the other part is don't be like, well, whatever. I can tell you that if you find a proven system that works, which you will be, as you all know, if you go on Facebook, your Facebook now probably just says, because it knows you're a realtor, does all this like things about how you can gain $1 million by paying this other person money to have them tell you how to do it. It's all out there. This Ignite, like I did Ignite. I did Ignite when I first started. It was all, we didn't have Zoom back then. Whoa. They were all in person. They're all like proven systems. And it took me even a minute to be like, well, I'm not gonna do that. I don't know. And then you start doing it because you're like, oh, I've been around now for a year and I hear everybody say these same things about your calls and your cards. It's true. It's proven system. That's how it works. That's how it always worked. There's, like I said, there's new things out there. Social media wasn't always a thing. It is now. People use it. I use it myself. Cold calling, it's a thing, right? But however you use your systems, and I cannot stress enough, like time blocking. Like I said, don't time block your whole day. But if you can just be like, this is the chunk of day that I do this, that will get so much further with that, because you'll actually force yourself to do it. So this is the part where I am gonna we'll talk a little bit more, but then you're gonna keep reading in your book. And if you want, this is where you can now go to do your like daily whatever, your handwritten notes, your 10 calls, your 10 contacts. So have you gone over this part yet? Your success system? Like have you guys talked about like social media engagement and handwritten notes and anything like that yet? Okay. Okay, cool. I didn't know if I was like, am I blowing your mind with that one? But yeah, like I tried to track my systems. The one that I really try to kind of like beat into my brain. Let me close this here really quick. 1 second. 1 second. My computer is blowing up. Okay, so the system that I love, and it's one that you'll probably heard like your first day, is sending cards, your handwritten notes. Everybody is told to do that all the time. Nobody does it. So when you actually do it, it's so much more meaningful than you even think. Nobody does it. It's crazy. It's wild. And like everybody knows to do it. Everybody talks about, oh yeah, I sent my note that my note. That is one that I totally do. I have stacks of birthday cards right here. And I use these for every person that I have in command is birthday. See their birthday. I send this out before. I have stacks of stationery right here. And then I have stacks of thank you cards. One of my like daily things to do. Yeah, stacks of thank you cards. One of my daily things to do is send out cards. I love sending out cards. People love them. I'll put like throw a business card in there, even if they know. For birthday, I'll do like a little dollar scratcher sometimes and be like, happy birthday. If you win $1 million, share it with me. So I do cards. That's my system. And we pull this back up here really quick and we'll bust through this. I promise. Thank you all for sticking with me for so long. I shared the wrong screen. Oh God.
I got this
Can I
new
ask
monitor
you a
too,
quick
and it's like
question?
huge. Yes.
So it was back, sorry. So when you were talking about MLS, is the MLS
Mhm.
number, so I have a listing appointment Saturday and she had it listed recently with another realtor. So each,
Okay.
it'll have a different MLS number, like that's
Yeah.
specific to that realtor that put it in. So same property, it'll be a different MLS number when I enter it, assuming I get the
Yep.
listing.
Yep.
Okay,
And then like
perfect.
anybody that searches, if somebody an agent goes in there and searches the address, it'll show like div that MLS number as you with your price point, and then it'll say like canceled, withdrawn, expired, pending for all the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the MLS numbers run with the history of the property and shows you,
Yeah.
but the current
Yeah.
one, whoever has the listing.
Yep, the current one is like the current MLS number, and it'll also that's displayed in Zillow and all that good stuff too. That's just like its serial number basically for that listing's serial number. The
And I didn't, the listing number stayed the same and then just the information changed on it, whether it was
Nope.
active or okay.
Nope. Yeah,
Thank
and you
you.
can see like old listings, however old the MLS goes, you can find like old listings in there and look at the old pictures. I actually love to take the old listing I print out the agent full version of the old listing, and that goes in my listing packet because then I'm going to talk to them about that and say, let's go through this. Is this still all accurate? Right. And it's a top way to talk and be like, nope, this is different. This is different. This is different. You can also be like, gauge from the like, oh yeah, yeah, like I didn't like when we did those photos or something like that. Right. So you can kind of get an idea of that too. But yeah, I love to take I take the old listing. I also, how about this? I take the old listing to show them, be like, this is all right. And then you know what's funny? I think I'm gonna like brag and be like, I do this. I actually think you have to do it now, like as of like a couple months ago. When you do your listing, I then also print out an agent or a client full of the current MLS. I put that in my paperwork and I have them sign that too. To be like, this is good. You love it, right? Think you actually might have to upload that into Command now in your paperwork because you used to be able to do it and now I think it's required.
So the client full, the reason that they sign it, is that just for
Cover your butt paperwork.
Gotcha.
Just because, yep, just to be like, you see this? Does it look good? Do you verify? Blah, blah, blah. Initial it. And it's kind of like, it's like, ooh, look, I'm giving you a peek of like how much work I've done. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. It's like you're just adding to your value basically by being like, it's another thing to communicate and do, but you're adding to your value by being like, how do you feel about this too? Are we good? You know what I mean? Yeah. And
so
if there's
old
nothing
listing from client full and you have them sign it. Okay.
Yep. And then if I bring client full, unless they're like, unless for some reason you might want to bring agent full, even if there's like some really cool private notes you wrote, you know what I mean, about it, right? Then feel free to bring agent full. Agent full is also fun because sometimes you're like, oh, this is even more of a sneak peek. That's what other agents see.
And that's for the new listing that you're trying to get?
Yeah, once the listing is done and put into MLS, I will make that listing a PDF to just share with them to be like, we good? We love this, like right before it's live or even right when it goes live. Because like, sometimes they want to help. And sometimes people will be like, why'd you choose this picture as the first? But like, or they're like thinking about why you chose the first picture, but they're not going to say anything until, you know what I mean? And this way you can have that dialogue and open it up and you'd be like, oh, well, I chose this picture because legally this one has to be the first picture. Or I didn't put 3 pictures of the toilet on there because nobody needs to see 3 pictures of the toilet. Why is there no picture of the closet? Because it's a closet full of your shit. Nobody needs to see it. Right. But then they'll be, oh, good point. That's great idea. And it's like, yeah, exactly.
So you're in the old, sorry, now you said something that could, the old RLMS or the one that you're doing is the one that you have them sign?
I will have them sign the one I'm doing, the current one. I will take the old one. Yep. I will take the old one to the appointment just to have talking points, basically.
Gotcha. But you have them sign a new one.
I just put it in through DocuSign, and I just have them initial it just because it's like, like you said, you're just, hey, their listing, so you might as well show them. You know what I mean? It just adds a
Nope,
level
that
to
makes
it. Yeah. And then I'll take the old one
sense.
as like to the appointment to be like to talk about like, especially if it was like they sold the house 5 years ago, right? This one you might be a little different because they just took it off. But if they sold it 5 years ago, it's a good way to be like, this says 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and they might be like, now we got a whole other bathroom. You know what I mean? And then you get to talk about that and just kind of like the changes and what's happened on it.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull this back up here real quick. Okay. Also, peek into my world. I literally have like 60 windows open on my computer right now. like a fully like a psycho. Okay. Your systems. So daily success system. How many conversations you have? Your goal is to try and have 10 conversations a day, 10 contacts a day, send out 10 handwritten notes a day. Social media engagement, and then your enrichments. Yeah. God, I keep trying to use my mouse to hit the thing. Okay, so the first job as real estate agent is lead generation because that activity of generating leads is the foundation of your business, right? Practicing conversations and dialogue will prepare you for success, appointments, signed agreements, contracts, and sales closed. Before you get involved in conversation, one thing you got to do, especially if you're reaching out to new clients, is you have to follow the TCPA list, which is the do not call list, basically. If you don't know how to access it, your principal broker can walk you through it and help you. And or either Tammy or Polly or, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now up north. But they can tell you how to access the do not call list and make sure that, you know, your friends, because you've already back and forth and talked about business, if they're on the do not call list, that's fine because they like acknowledge that and you know what I mean? But like, don't spam people. Don't send out a text that is like without a thing that says to unsubscribe, hit whatever, if they're on the do not call list, because those people that are on the do not call list will definitely yell at you and you can have to pay this huge fine if you get in trouble for it. Oh yeah, so texting also falls under the TCPA, so it's not just phone calls, right? You can't do dialers and automated voicemails if they're on the TCPA. So like a slide dial, you can't do that. Slide dials are great. If you don't know what a slide dial is, it's when your phone doesn't ring but you have a voicemail from somebody. That's actually like a program that you can use. And it's a way to like leave 50 voicemails at one time. Like I said, it's really important to follow these because otherwise you like literally will get crazy fined. And so just make sure that you get your access into that.
So is there a way of checking all the numbers regularly to see if they're on that list?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep. It's actually really annoying. Like you'd think that it would be way more comprehensive. It is not. It's annoying. Do it in tens. It makes it easier. It's really, yeah, but it is not like the most friendly website. It's literally like you can, I think the way you can do it is you can like download the actual file of like the millions of phone numbers on it. But like, yeah, you just have to like go in, search the number, and then it'll tell you if it is or not.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so this right here, like I said, I'm going to let us not do this right now because this we'll do on our own time as far as you're going to follow up with your contacts and do all that. We are here to just talk about what you need to do. I'm not going to torture you all and be like, let's make phone calls right now in front of each other.
Can I ask a question? Is this a
yeah.
book we're supposed to have? Because I'm a little confused on that. If it's a book we're supposed to...
You might not have like the paper book. It's like your Ignite guide. So Yes, but it might just be digital. If you don't have it, you probably have it from like an old email or something when you like first signed up. Ask Mara, email Mara and be like, hey, can I get the Ignite guide? And then she'll give you and then you can just kind of follow along with that.
She kind of
Here's
emails them like before class sometimes too for that day, like that day's guide.
Yeah, they might.
Or
Yeah,
she-
like yes. If she sends out, she might send out that day's guide too. So we might have like just today's uh session basically. This one, somebody mentioned this earlier about the help with systems, using Command and Connect to get help. So in Command, there is a help feature. It's at the bottom, there's a little question mark, and it's actually like a chat that you chat with a real person. And then Connect is great. There's videos for how to use stuff too, and they're actually pretty good. They're like well designed and everything. Your next class is going to be strengthening relationships, which I believe you will talk about smart plans. But I am going to, because I don't know who's teaching that class or when it is, if I'm gonna just right now take the next like 10 minutes to show you what smart plans are and what I use them for because I love a smart plan. So I get into my command here. So I have like a training command, a team training command, and then I have like my real command. Do not like this one. I don't actually go into and use all the time. This is mostly for like this purpose of like this sharing this. So it does say I have 125 notifications. I don't, but in this one I do. When one of the easiest things to do, the easiest is to create a smart plan, right? Like I told you about the 36 touch, all that good stuff. That takes time and you have to do that. There's stuff that's ready at your fingertips for you right now. And then I can also share you some of mine. In Command, there is a thing called smart plans. What smart plans are the things where it'll with purpose email you your client an email that you wrote or a text. You can have it automatically text as well from it's not your phone number, it's a different phone number. Those are called smart plans. And like I said, I would say sooner rather than later, set up your smart plans, get them going. So like right here, this is my screen. It is this fourth tab down. And what these are, if you go into the library, you'll see there's featured ones and there's Keller Williams ones that we know work good. These are great. Start with these featured ones and these Keller Williams ones, okay? One of them right here, quarterly call plan. All it does is every 91 days, you tag a contact in it, and then it will remind you to call that person's name. And it just puts it in your like to-do list on your plan. There is a Earth Day plan. Remember how I told you I have all those cards? That's because every single person in my contacts, in my command, I make it my goal to figure out their birthday, whether it's like Facebook or if they're a client, I take their ID and make a copy of it because that's not weird to do when you're making a file for somebody. And literally the only reason I do that is to get their birthday. What that does is it's really nice. You schedule it in there, you put their birthday in your contact. A couple like 6 days before their birthday, it'll tell you to send out a birthday card to them. 5 days before or right before their birthday, the day before, it reminds you to make a phone call to them, just call them, say happy birthday. And then the next day that is their birthday, you can have it send a text automatically that says happy birthday. And it will also in your to-do list tell you to make a social post or tell them happy birthday on their social media. So easy. It's literally done for you. It's in here ready to go. I have a bunch of smart plans that I have made. So if you want, and my favorite smart plans are holidays because it's again so easy. Like there's a million holidays. It's such an easy way to reach out and touch like a contact. They're not going to be mad that you were like, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy New Year's, right? And like, so example, I have a 4th of July one. On 4th of July, I have it automatically send a text that says, hey, first name, here it is, wishing you a very happy 4th of July at the end. And then I have it send an email that says happy 4th of July. The email is, I just took a image, wrote it in the email, and had it automatically go in. They're so easy to do. Like I said, this comes free with Command. Once you're like in it and you want to start making one, some of the easiest ones, like I said, find the ones that are the Keller Williams recommended ones, because those are like tried and true. And then if you want to steal some of mine, feel free, just search TWH in the library, and all the ones that I've made that I've shared are up there, which are mostly just holiday ones. I have a smart plan that is called my first time buyer plan. It's every other day it sends my potential first time buyer this like pretty lengthy email that's not cute or anything. It's just text like, this is what we're going to do. This is what lending is. This is what a pre-approval letter is. And it takes the course of, I think, 20 days. And every other day they'll get an email from me. And like I got it from another agent. I zhuzhed it up, I put my name in there instead. And he gave it to me, and now that's mine. I freely give it to you. Just make sure you put your name in it instead of mine. It's a great one because it's specifically for first time home buyers that are like a month out. And you can start that plan, and they will literally they'll be reading it. And it's great because you're also fully like educating them. And then even if they're not reading it, they're seeing that it's coming from you and it's something that you're doing. So it's only just going to build like trust and your knowledge, right?
If we search by that TWH, will we find it?
Yeah. If you search TWH, that's just Team West Homes. So that's how I like labeled them so other people could search them. I have a birthday email in there. The TWH one, it's called Buyer Education. And you can like look at all of them before you add them into yours. I have quite a bit in there. And there's some, like I said, the buyer education one's really good because it's specifically made for a first time buyer and it like treats it like that. It's like, let's talk about what buying a house is and how you do it. And people
Can
like
you use
respond
more
really well to that.
I'm sorry, we use more than one tag or?
Yep.
Okay.
You can tag as many tags as you want on a contact, and you can put as many smart plans on a contact as well. So like all my contacts get a smart plan called the monthly neighborhood update. That's automatic. You put their address in there. They get an email from me every month that just says, here's the activity that's happening in your neighborhood. I have all my contacts on my holiday plans. And then like the other ones, like the buyer education one, I just have that in my back pocket. So if I get a client right there, then I say, hey, I'm going to start sending you these emails. Read them. Don't. They're talking points. We'll talk about it later. And then I'll add them to it and hit start now. And then that'll do that. I have a smart plan. I don't think I've shared it yet because I was like trying to simple it down. I have a smart plan that I took from somebody else because I was in a class and they were talking about how most of their business is all from agent referrals. So like other agents. So they have a smart plan that they send every month to all the other agents in their contacts. And it's just like hey, you remember me? I'm still here. Let me know if your location has changed so I can update where you are. And it's kind of like a call to action. So you're not just being like, hi, don't forget about me for referrals. You're being like, hey, I'm coming from a place of caring. Are you still in Phoenix, Arizona? And then, you know what I mean? And so like, I've started working on that one just to try and get like other agent referrals so they remember me too. So yeah, smart plans are great. So great. And they're free. And when I started, it was terrible and they were terrible and they didn't work great. And now they're great.
I got a question. So
Yeah.
I was looking at the smart plans on my other screen here. And like, so just for example, the biweekly neighborhood nurture, it says specific to their neighborhood. So once you put those contacts in there, if the address is in there, it'll automatically make that for you for their neighborhood.
Yeah, I use the monthly neighborhood one. I have not messed with the biweekly one because I've seen that. I have not messed with that one, but that is, yes, that is the ideal. That is what is supposed to happen is instead of sending it the weekly one, it'll just send that same one biweekly. But yes, if you put their address in there, it'll automatically, with that one specifically.
If you can attach like 5 contacts and it'll send that each person, if their address is in their neighborhood.
Yep.
update.
Yep.
Okay.
And now those are like really specific smart plans. Those ones
Yeah.
are
I've
yeah,
looked at them a little bit before,
those
but
are
I
great.
wanted to see if that's how it worked. If once you attach
That
the
is how it
smart plans,
works.
it'll automatically do it.
Yep. Yep. The smart plans that like I've made and you make, those are like a little less. They're not quite that smart. Like the birthday one, for example. The birthday one's really cool because you put their birthday in and then it reminds you 6 days before to do this, to then do this, to do this, where the smart plans that you or I would make, you set a start day, right? So, and then everybody gets the same thing. The monthly and the biweekly neighborhood nurtures are specifically done like through command and they look great. It takes all of your info from your profile. So when you go into your command profile, make sure that's up to date because that's all the info that it's going to make, like your headshot and the phone number to call you back and all that good stuff. Does anybody have any questions before I let you off to write cards and make calls?
I found your smart plan in there. So where it says, go back to it. The steps, sorry, like the buyer education, view steps, send email. Like, can you see when you go in to create it, what more of that is that we can change on our side? It doesn't have your, okay.
Yeah, so you have to add from you go from the library and then you add it to your smart plans. And then once it's in your smart plans, you go to edit it. And that's where you'll change it and get rid of my name at the end and put your name or change up the wording if you want. But you have to add it to your library and then you can edit it because you can't edit my smart plan. You have to edit yours, right? So like when you add it to your library, you can call it Buyer Education Emily or whatever, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to say my name on it. And then you would, like I said, at the end where it says, call me Nick, you would change that to call me Emily.
Okay. So I did that like day 1, step 1, and then it says off to the right, like what it says.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's like a little button, like a little pen, and that's how you edit it. And then you can click on it. And then there's another little pen, and that's where you like specifically edit. And then the way command works is it also uses the hyperlinks. So when it has the blue like contact name, it automatically puts their name in that email.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's what a CRM is, and that's how you get emails every day from like Target and Bed Bath & Beyond being like, hey, Emily, this thing's on sale. It's a computer. And you have access to one now too.
No, it looks good.
I usually try and do like a quarterly smart plan class. I haven't done one yet this quarter because I'm the event coordinator for the Eugene Pride Festival, which 5 years ago we had 40 booths, and this year we have like 250. So it's kind of like my second and third job right now to deal with all these vendors until a week and a half from now. But there will probably be a smart plan class in the next couple like month or two. And feel free to join it because we'll kind of go over some high level stuff on it. And there's a lot like we'll do one together too. And I usually do it in the office, but we'll also do it on Zoom at the same time. So we can like follow along. And it's pretty, people usually get something from it.
Is there a way of, oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh, is there a way of knowing what contacts you have added the smart plan to?
Yes. In your contacts tab, there's a smart plans tab and it will show all the ones that they're on. And that's also how you can add another smart plan to them if you want. And then in your contacts tab, it shows all your like communication. So it'll tell you like that you sent an email this day. So it keeps track of all your like back and forth. And then when you do a smart plan that has like a phone call, that phone call, it shows up on your task list at the top of command. And then when you click that, it'll be like, did you make the call? Did they answer? And then you can put notes in there and it keeps track of all your communication like running back. It's pretty cool.
So you can call out from command?
No, I did it for my phone, but I just tell command I did it.
Okay.
There's a company called Twilio. And Twilio integrates with command, and that's the texting thing where you get a text. it does not come from your phone number. So what I do, it's $3 a month for 300 texts. And so what I do is all of the texts that come from my command, which are like, all there are is like Happy New Year's, right? They're mostly holidays. I'll put a signature at the end of it and be like, Nick West, yay. And most people will realize it's not like actually, it's like from a CRM, but you're like thinking about them. If somebody replies to that text, you get another text to your phone that says that they replied, and then you'll get a notification in command that says they replied too.
But you don't get that if you don't have that Twilio?
Yeah, you got to set that Twilio up. If you don't have Twilio set up, then instead of it automatically doing it, it'll show up as a task on your task list, and it'll say text Mitch, happy birthday, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But if you have it set up, you can have it do it automatically. And like I said, it's not from your phone number, but it's from a number, and I just put a signature on it, and it's essentially like, coming from, when you get 121212 or whatever. Yeah. And it's cool too, because like it, if you're when you send the first thing to somebody, which, like I said, you're going to check the TCPA, but if you send something to somebody and they like don't want it, and they can reply stop, and it'll automatically unsubscribe them, and then you'll know not to send them stuff and all that good stuff. So it's pretty comprehensive, which is neat. You all have my phone and email. Feel free to email me if you have any other questions, or call me. I'm also in the Eugene office. I'm at the end of the hallway by the Xerox machine. So stop by and say hi. I probably won't be here that much in the next 2 weeks, but after that I will be. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And then, like I said, email me too where you're at, so I can add you to my database. So if I need to do anything, if somebody wants to do an open house or showing, or if I got a referral, I'll let you know. Yay.
Thank you.
I appreciate you all coming and listening to me rant for 2 hours.
Thank you, Nick.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Like, I'm here. We're all here. Mara's here. I'm here. Come by, say hi.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
You too.
Bye.